On the 7th of October 1961, the West Sussex town of Steyning celebrated the centenary of its railway. Large crowds gathered, souvenir tickets issued, and special locomotives assembled for the occasion. The day was a great success. But dark times lay ahead. In just 5 years' time, the Steyning line was to become a victim of Dr. Beeching's axe. Back in 1861, the people of Steyning and the surrounding area finally got what they'd long been campaigning for. For hundreds of years, ever since its pre-Norman days as a seaport, Steyning had been an important market town. But by the mid-19th century, it had become clear that rail links to Brighton, London and beyond would be vital to ensure continuing prosperity. So the railway came to the Ada Valley, bringing with it a new lease of life. Things changed rapidly. Steyning's new station was built on the eastern edge of town, near the church, and soon the line was extended all the way to Horsham. West Sussex was on the map.
We had the pleasure of passing up the line in one of the first trains, and a very delightful trip it was, for the scenery is exceedingly pretty, and it is an instructive feature to see the old and the new world brought, as it were, in contact for the first time. Very many in the district had never seen a train of carriages before, and the populace, as a matter of course, rushed out en masse to witness the wonder of the age. The business of the excursion we accompanied was to place the station masters, leave railway stores, etc., for the opening on Monday last. This occasioned some little delay at each station, and during that time the news spread through the village and hamlet that Puffing Billy was on the move, and old men and old women and small rustic children ran and tore away to each station as fast as their means of locomotion would allow them to do.
Now we can return to the Steyning line, making our own journey along the same route. We'll also do a little time travelling, back to the days before the railway was lost to the people of the Ada Valley. Our journey will begin at Shoreham by Sea on the south coast, to the west of Brighton and Hove. We'll follow the River Ada as it cuts through the chalk of the South Downs, and then travel along the Sussex Weald to Horsham, some 18 miles to the north. The first stage will take us from Shoreham Station, up the Ada estuary, then under the A27 flyover and out into the countryside, before crossing the river just south of Bramber, a distance of about 2¼ miles. Shoreham is a busy mainline station with services to Littlehampton, Bognor, Portsmouth and Bournemouth to the west, and Brighton, Seaford and Eastbourne to the east. Passengers for London usually change trains at Brighton or Hove, but before its closure, the Steyning line provided an alternative route to London. The Shoreham to Brighton section was opened in 1840 by the London and Brighton Railway Company as an extension of the main London to Brighton line. It continued to be extended westwards, and in 1858, the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway was granted powers to build a line initially as far as Henfield, but later to Itchingfield Junction, where it would join the main line to Horsham. So let's climb aboard the Steyning Flyer and commence our return journey to the Steyning line. Less than ½ mile to the west of Shoreham Station is the point at which the Steyning line really begins. This is Shoreham Junction, where the path of the old branch line can easily be seen from the air, breaking away from the main coastline just before the River Ada railway bridge. Looking eastwards, the junction is still very evident through the wire fence, while to the west, the site is now occupied by a second-hand car dealer who uses the old track bed for some additional parking space. The bridge crossing the old Shoreham Road was demolished in the 1980s. We join the Stenning flyer as she crosses onto the branch line at Shoreham Junction and begins her descent down the hill towards the River Ada and Old Shoreham Toll Bridge, half a mile away. With Lancing College dominating the landscape to the west, we approach the old wooden toll bridge, originally constructed by the Duke of Norfolk in 1782 to replace the ferry. Today, the tracks have long since gone, but our route survives as the Downs Link footpath and bridleway. Across the estuary from Shoreham Airport, and just to the south of Lancing College with its imposing chapel towering over the estuary, we're at the start of a 37-mile trail linking the North and South Downs. Until 1971, when the A27 flyover was completed, Old Shoreham Bridge and its crossing over the railway provided the main route through Shoreham. Cars were charged sixpence or a tanner to cross, foot passengers a penny. The signal box was manned by a signalman and toll collector working together. Today, as a cyclist or pedestrian, you can cross the bridge for free. From the Amsterdam pub, the track continues northward, hugging the riverbank as we progress towards the A27 flyover. Leaving the busy road behind, we suddenly find ourselves in the countryside, enjoying the peace and tranquility of the river before moving on to the old cement works near Upper Beeding. Approaching the cement works, you can easily imagine how the railway was once its lifeblood. Two long sidings accommodated the freight trains transporting materials to and from the works. Now, however, it's a different story. Closed down in 1991, the old buildings remain like monuments, reminding us of times gone by. You can still see pieces of railway track as they enter the disused buildings. This was the engine shed for the works loco. Extracting chalk from the downs and pumping in clay from the local pits at Smalldole, the works used the railway to bring in coal for burning and take away the cement products. Productivity peaked in the 1950s. Bill Mays was working as porter signalman at Stenning Station at the time and remembers the cement works well.
There were several trains a day into Beeding sidings. Not only the one that used to come down the branch, but they had their own freight trains coming in from Hove sidings with coal. There was also gypsum used to come in from Mountfield. And then there were the wagons out. They consisted of box wagons with bagged cement and pressurised container wagons for bulk cement, and those would go off to Shoreham or to Hove, where they would reverse and be taken down to Chichester.
Leaving Beeding sidings with a full load, the signalman at Old Shoreham would come out the box. He'd pull his distant off and he would wave to you that you've got the road right round into Shoreham, because once passing the toll bridge, it was a steep old incline round up into Shoreham. And should he not be able to give you the road, and you did get stopped at Shoreham Outer Home signal, 9 times out of 10 you would have a job to start away, because it was on a curve and she would slip, and you had to get the signalman to get assistance, and that would have to come from Brighton to go on the back and push you through to Shoreham.